every time you make a transition, it's a chicken and egg situation.
Yeah.
You cannot be a product manager without a prior experience, but you need experience to be a product manager. Like if you ask me, if I have to distill in one sentence what's a product manager or product builder is, you're building something. That's what I used to convince the team at Amazon.
First of all, quick introduction. I'm Tarun here, head of marketing here at Valuebound. I am also the CMO at ProBlog, and then I'm also a host here at DXP Live, right? Digital Experience Live. What we do is we invite interesting guests like you to talk about what you are interested about, so that we can give our audience an insight into what's really happening in the industry, and give them that insight about what is really happening under the skin, right? What are the next generation of innovation that is actually cooking up that they will probably see in the next 1 to 2 years, maybe next 6 months, and then understand what they can do to really build a career in this space, right? Now that's for the people part. The organizations do love to understand what really individuals and industry leaders like you are doing in this space, and what is something that could change the way that the organization works today.
I agree. I think that's a very interesting topic. I think we're all in the phase where everybody's exploring what AI can or cannot do. Everybody is like, and the way innovation is happening at the breakneck speed, it's like hard to get, up to date with everything that's happening. So there are some fundamentals, and obviously then you have to stay in touch with daily things. I'm really happy, and thanks for considering me. I love talking about and brainstorming about everything AI and how AI and tech in general is changing lives day to day. I believe technology is a great enabler, and AI is a means to an end, but it's not the end. That's very important.
So one thing that I would personally like to start off with is your experience, not just in AI, but also outside of it. And what have you been doing in that space, so that the viewers and the readers, this also goes on written blog, can get a better idea about what they can expect out of this podcast?
Definitely. So let's start with, let me give you a very quick snapshot about my background, what I've been doing, and then we can see where are the interesting segues we want to go into. So I am right now working as a senior PM at Amazon in San Francisco, California. I support their podcast org. So the product that I support is, if you're a podcast creator, you want to host, distribute, and monetize your show anywhere on any podcast consumer platform in the world, you can do so through our platform. Right now, our product mostly caters to enterprise podcast networks, like the big podcast networks who have like hundreds of thousands of shows, who sometimes also have their own direct ad deals. We also have programmatic ad support within our product. Within this is our product in general, and my particular domain of influence or work in this team is ad tech, definitely ad tech, and then customer lifecycle management. When it comes to ad tech, basically I build or improve the tools that we have for campaign managers in podcasts, to ensure that they have the right targeting parameters, ensure that the campaign hierarchy and structure that we have matches with what they need and various integrations that they have on their end. Then on the customer lifecycle management side, my goal is to ensure that customer onboarding to offboarding, entire lifecycle of the customer management is seamless without linear increase in overhead for our support team or internal teams, so that we can scale at a breakneck speed, support more customers than we can today without linear growth in the headcount, which is always a challenge. And that's where I see a lot of role of AI, where it can automate a lot of repetitive tasks that we keep exploring new use cases every day, keep on exploring what are the various problem areas that where AI could be applicable. Outside of that, in Amazon ads itself, because that's my overall org. I initially worked as an analytics consultant. So my major role was to work with sales team to pitch some Fortune 500 advertisers. A, how are your campaigns performing in general, and B, show them opportunities which they are not looking at, which we can look at the data and we can come up, okay, this is how the top players in your industry are doing. And we look at the data, we use AI and ML to produce insights. And these are the opportunities that you're missing on the table by just focusing on, for example, like most of the advertisers on retail media, especially like Amazon or elsewhere, they focus on, consider or like the bottom of the funnel advertising. Like you're mostly focusing on conversion, but there's a lot of opportunity if you go at top of the funnel, like if you create awareness campaigns, consideration campaigns. But so showing them those opportunities that they're missing. Sometimes I remember working with an advertiser where without sharing exact details, but we created a unique experiment, very unique A/B test experiment for them, just to show them the full funnel, how full funnel advertising is more effective than just focusing on one specific funnel. So that was my initial previous role before my current role. And before Amazon, I worked in Africa for Kellogg's company as a brand manager. So I managed P&L and go-to-market strategy of their $400 million brand. It was a very fun time. I learned a lot about branding and advertising. And today the tools I produce is for that customer persona which I was part of. So I have seen both sides of the table. I have worked as an advertiser, and now I produce tools or products for advertisers. So that's a very interesting career journey in this space for me. But before that, I was in India working as a software engineer for 3 years, so which gave me all that technical know-how which I use today. Product building is not just strategy and vision; it's the day-to-day execution matters. Where we work with as a PM, I work day-to-day with engineers. I discuss trade-offs. We brainstorm on technical architecture, system design, to ensure that we are taking decisions which are not just solving a problem in the short term, but we are ensuring that we are not creating tech debt, and we are not blocking ourselves for our areas that we go into in the future. So that's where my technical or software engineering experience comes in when I work with engineers on day-to-day implementation. And from the product management perspective, so this is my career journey in general. Outside of work, I engage in I try to share my thoughts in the various channels. Like I published 2 HBR articles on product management, how product management works. So this, and then that helps me engage with other product leaders, like how they are thinking about various areas. So it's very good sharing of ideas. Recently, in fact, I'm serving right now as a awards advisory committee member in Products That Count. It's basically a global body which celebrates top products, tech products, and product managers, CPOs. So this Q1, I judged a lot of products in AI and data domain, and it was a very interesting. So I was working with selected few product leaders who were part of the committee, and all of us were brainstorming very hard. Okay, how to judge a product in AI and data domain? That was such a big challenge for all of us. And as a group, we aligned on 4 or 5 factors that we then just used to finally judge the top products in that domain. And recently we judged which are the top product managers in tech who are leveraging AI in their day-to-day lives. So again, it's a very new space right now. Not a lot of people understand. So it's just still a very black box. So industries in very nascent stage to how to use AI, how to judge whether AI is the right use case for them. But that's my background in general, and let's see where do we.
No, I mean, it's been such an interesting journey. I was thinking how you started as an engineer, from a software engineer, went to product, went to marketing, and right now you're handling products. Definitely been an interesting journey. Oh my god, so many questions. But my first one is actually I think it's a question that a lot of engineers in India specifically relate with. It is also one of I would say a segment in our last podcast as well. Is the way that you have transitioned your career, right? Because I think in a day and age that is in which tech is moving so fast, it's really important to sort of understand when to transition, and then the bigger point is how to transition. I know a lot of engineers myself, I know a lot of companies myself who are trying to transition from one place to another. Two completely different side of stories, but like it's the same thing, right? That they are trying to adapt to this changing world of AI. And Apoorva, like since you have been through so many transitions, like from an engineer to a marketer, now a product guy, I want to understand from you, how did you go by this transition? What were the reasons that led to this transition first? And then at the same time, what is that one learning that you had from each step of this transition? I think that'll be very interesting for new readers and the new viewers of the podcast.
Yeah, definitely. I think we can definitely talk to that, like what led me to those transitions and ultimately how I ultimately landed in product. So as a software engineer, I think I'd say initially I loved my job. Definitely, it was a new thing. Software engineering, in my opinion, gives you a lot of freedom in general. Once you know how you can create softwares from your own hand, suddenly worlds opens up. Hey, I want to start this. I want to build this restaurant discovery app. Hey, I want to build this meditation app. That gave me a lot of confidence. Okay, yeah, I can build anything. And I was a software engineer in Bangalore for 3 years. So, today, I gathered a few of my software engineer friends and we started working on our own ideas. We would moonlight after office and we would create ideas. That's how Bangalore life is for most software engineers. I remember we spent weeks and nights. I don't know for how many months it happened. We built a couple of apps. I think it was something akin to Urban Club where you could discover services near you. We built the app, but we didn't put a lot of thought on the business and the customer needs per aspect of it. Okay, how to run the operations. The building a tech product is one thing, but the GTM and assessing customer needs, doing usability testing, which never came to our mind. We just wanted to build. We were builders, we were just coders. We were just coding our way out, and only when it didn't pick up, we realized there were a lot of gaps from customer needs perspective, from operations perspective, from business perspective that we didn't think through. So that's when I realized, maybe I need to see business side of things as well. I can create products. I will get product requirements and then we will build software. But what was the process in coming up with those requirements? Why did company decide to take that bet? This 10 engineers I'm going to spend all my money on this 10 engineers to build this one particular product and not something else. So I started getting interested in that particular side of product building. So to make that transition, I decided, maybe let me do an MBA as an easy transition. So I did an MBA. After my MBA, and I was pretty clear when I was doing my MBA that I do not immediately want to go back into tech. I want to explore the business side of things. I want to spread my legs as much as possible just to get a broader spectrum of things. And I was fortunate enough to get this brand manager job, and that in Africa. I thought, it brings me a fun of international travel, and I also get to experience brand management as a function. And I really love brand management in general, but then the techie in me was why is this all manual? Why are people still working Excel sheets? Why every communication coordination is so laid back? Coming from a tech company, all of this would be automated. So the engineer or the techie in me was always wanted to go back to tech solutions. And obviously I was at that point, AI had just started picking up. So I really started getting interested, what's happening in the world of AI? And I saw a lot of interesting development at that point was happening in the US. So I thought, let me move to the US and see the spectrum here. And I took a quick break of 1 year. I did my master's in business analytics at UCLA. I tried to learn basically what are the general AI and ML fundamentals and how to apply them to real business use cases. And obviously my brand management stint gave me a realization that obviously tech is where my heart lies, but not as a software engineer, as a builder, product builder. So I wanted to so that's when I realized, product management is something that I really want to get into. And since you said about what makes that transition, so every time you make your transition, it's a chicken and egg situation.
Yeah.
You cannot be a product manager without a prior experience, but you need experience to be a product manager. Yeah, so it was a hard sell for me as well. But what worked in my favor is my domain knowledge and domain expertise. If you ask me if I have to distill in one sentence what's a product manager or product builder is, you're building something that your customer wants. As long as you understand what your customer wants, what your users want, you will be a good product manager. AI is a tool in the service of that, but as long as you are focused on building something what business needs and customer wants, you'll be successful. That's what I used to convince the team at Amazon. Hey, I understand advertising, I understand marketing, and I see that you're building tools for the customer persona who I understand. I've been in their shoes. So I really know how to talk to them. I really understand their pain points. So I can build products. I can build products for you that will be used, that will make an impact. So that really helped me with the transition. Obviously, this is just one way. There are so many other ways to make that transition. Yeah.
Wow. I mean, that's actually lovely. I think users and PMs in general, right? I've worked with a lot of PMs, and I think that's one thing that you've definitely said is in common. Anyone who wants to become a PM should understand that you need to first understand your customers.
Exactly.
Who are you building for? And as long as you know that, you can build anything, right? The tech is now there, tech definitely exists, which now actually gives me the segue to understand Apoorva as a PM working in, I think, the podcast field, right? You are helping podcasters. So what are you building for them? And how is that entire scenario happening? Just give me from ground zero, what's happening there?
Yeah. So I'll try and share as much details as we can, but also try to be cognizant of the confidentiality
Correct.
Things at Amazon. So in general, building, as I said, the product that I work with is a SaaS tool for podcast creators. So if you're a podcast creator, you can come to this tool. You can host all your content, distribute to any platform in the world, whether it's Spotify, whether it's Apple Music, whether it's Amazon Music. And then, since we work with large enterprise podcast networks today, so most of these large networks already have their direct deals with their advertisers. If you are a big podcaster, let's say, and then you already have a deal with Coca-Cola, you just want to use our platform to create all these campaigns with various brands you have direct relationships with, and they can target your content. But then we also have this programmatic ad product within our platform, wherein you can just enroll in a programmatic ad demand product. And once you enroll into that, we have our own partnership with various advertisers, and those advertisers and your content becomes one of those targets available to them. And depending upon their targeting needs, like what kind of content they want to target, what kind of audience segments they want to target, and they can input various other geo targets that they want to target, various other targeting parameters. Your show will get revenue. So basically, it's a tool for podcast creators to easily monetize their content. So that's the overall tool that I'm working with. So from an ad tech perspective, just one of the key criteria that I support is efficiency of campaign management. It's a tool, it's a product that has been existing, and there are. When I say let's talk about why efficiency is important as well, right? If you're a campaign manager and you have to do so many clicks, X number of clicks, you have to do so many coordination across different stakeholders. Most of them are many times a very repetitive tasks. For example, you're asking a stakeholder, does this ad copy make sense? And you're waiting for a few days. New brand has been added to your portfolio, and you want to ensure that all your content creators have had a chance to review those brands and tell you they are okay with Coke putting ads into your content. So things like that, these are called brand approvals. So because of all these coordination costs and lack of efficiencies, the time to monetization of a content increases. A new content comes in, now you're waiting for a month or 2 months or weeks just to monetize that show. It's bad for the content creators because now you are getting money which 2 months later, which you could have gotten today. It's bad for advertisers, because advertisers also have a time sensitive goal. Like, I want my product to be picked up as soon as possible, but your campaigns are not going out to the right content. So it's a problem on both sides of the marketplace here. So my goal is to talk to customers or understand from usage data, where are the friction points, where are the drop off points, where is the friction happening, and then talk to customers. As a PM, what I've learned, and since it's a B2B space, there's nothing that beats customer interviews. I think you can look at the data, you can do secondary research. It's only when you talk to your customers, when you see what they're doing in front of your eyes, because sometimes customers will not be able to tell you what's the problem. They will tell you, something is wrong, but they don't know exactly what is wrong. And sometimes customer will just tell you, can you just build this for me? Sometimes, as a lot of PMs, what they will do in a rush to deliver something to the customers or to the business.
What one needs,
yeah. Okay, this feature request came in from 2 customers. Let's just go ahead and build it. Yeah. So that's
why was it I think why did that request even exist? That's the main question. Yeah.
Exactly. So that's what I feel. So whenever such feature requests come in, sometimes you'll get pressure from your stakeholders. Sales team will come and sell you, no, this is very important. Customers are asking for it. Leadership might put pressure on you. So as a PM, you have to manage expectations as well. Your goal is to ultimately build what customer wants, and sometimes customer don't know what they want. Then I schedule, sometimes when there is a lot of ambiguity, I'll schedule calls. I'll try and, can you tell me what this feature request is? Where is it coming from? Then they will start, this feature request is coming from because this, I have to do a lot of X number of clicks. Can you tell me which clicks you are doing? Then I'll ask them to walk me through the entire workflow related to the feature request that they have shared with me. Then when they're walking me through their entire workflow, through the discussion and brainstorming, it will be pretty clear that the feature that they have asked and the problem that they're facing, they don't match. So then, as a PM, you have to take that input, go back to the drawing board, work with your engineers and designers to come up with an initial solution of the problem that exactly what the customer wants. Then maybe depending upon how flexible your org is, how flexible your customers are, vet that idea at a very high level, very rough wireframe level. Now, obviously, AI has made prototyping way easier. You can create prototypes in 30 minutes of prompting, and you can go ahead and easily test with a lot of stakeholders, which is totally different game changer for me, I think. And we can talk about how my internal workflows are positively impacted.
That's actually something I want to discuss as well. But I just want to add this one thing where, I think you said a very right thing, right? Customers often don't really know what they want. And there's a very, I would say, nice saying, I read it somewhere, I think on lesswrong.com, where if the world relied on customer feedback only, today, instead of cars, you would just have a lot of faster horses.
Yeah, exactly. It's a Steve Jobs quote, I think, as well. That's true. But what happens sometimes, that's there are people who misconstrue that as well. They will think, okay, you don't need to ask customers. That's not the point. The point is ask, but you ask the right questions. Customer don't even if you ask me, I'm not feeling good today, but a good therapist would be able to go deeper. Okay, why you are not feeling good? This is the particular pain point. It's not that food was not good. It's something else.
Fair. Yes, why don't you tell actually users, right? What is it what the for the readers, right? Why don't you tell them what it is a day in a life of Apoorva, right? As a PM at Amazon, what are you currently doing? What is the workflow looking like? And I would suggest if you can also sort of sprinkle it with a word of advice for actual working PMs right now, how they can optimize their day.
Yeah, definitely. I'll definitely speak from my experience. So I think I would say, and this is what I've also keep mentioning in the articles or the conversation that I have outside. I think PM's role is 80% execution and 20% strategy. Obviously, the strategy part is very, very important. If you ask me, there are 2 months in the year, that's happening right now, where now we're planning the next year strategy and putting together a 3-year vision of over the org that I support. So, but that's just like 2 months out of like 12 months in the year. Like it's very heads down. Like where as a PM, I'm working with my team to analyze performance of the last year. What was the customer feedback that came in? What are the customers' expectations for the future? How is the industry changing? What are the competitors doing? So right now, assimilating all that internal and external sources of data to put together a 1 year roadmap and vision, and obviously the 3-year vision. Like 3-year vision is very, very important because you need to have your goal in sight so that you can plan today's better. Yeah, and I have burned my hands by not following this principle a few years back, because what happens is, let's say you know that in 3 years you want to build your platform or product in a certain way. Let's say you want to totally change how your platform works today. The 3 years later, like maybe short-term goal is to automate the tasks that you see today, but the long-term is to make your product a self-service product. If you have that goal in mind, then you will take better product roadmap and technical decisions. You don't want to create tech debt. You don't want to create unnecessary costs. You don't want to create something that is going to block you for that future. So I would say that's one. So once that vision part is done, as I said, vision strategy part is done, the roadmap is set. And another thing and roadmap setting is very, very important. Roadmap and prioritization is very, very important for the PM. If you see, like, if you ask me, like, what is the value that a PM adds in the life of a designer or engineer? Like, engineers can build the product, then why do you even need a PM? You just tell them, okay, just build this ad tech platform, this XYZ features, just go ahead and do it. But that's not the end. Engineers need to know, okay, there are 1,000 things that can be built to this product. Like which 1,000 things are the most important? What's the priority order of those 1,000 things, right? Then it gives them sense of peace. Okay, what I'm building is going to be used by the customer. It's going to create the business impact, and that's going to help my career. So that's the clarity that a PM needs to bring to the table. So as a PM, one of my day-to-day responsibilities is to ensure that my roadmap and prioritization are up to date. They're backed by the research and the data. And whenever stakeholder questions come, hey, why did you prioritize this versus that? Right? Why are you not building the product this way versus that way? A PM should be able to give clarity. If you're not able to give clarity, I think you have failed as a PM. That's what I think. And we can go in later into if that of interest, how prioritization and everything happens. So after the prioritization, and in prioritization, I just wanted to say that it's not about features and outputs, it's about outcomes. Prioritization is like, okay, by the end of this year, I want to deliver X hours of time savings for my customer. By the end of this year, I want to get X number of revenue, X number of ad demand in a platform, right? So now specific features can support those outcomes, and depending upon when you start working on the requirements, you will understand, like, feature that you thought that will deliver this outcome, maybe there is something else which is better. So I always prioritize my roadmap based on outcomes. And when I write requirements, I work with designers and engineers to come up with the right solution, like what the feature should look like. Because instead of doing this waterfall approach where you're creating list of features, but rather than list of outcomes, and when the time of requirements planning come, then we go deeper into what the feature actually looks like. So that's where the product requirements happen. You have a question?
No, I was just listening.
Yeah. So when it comes to product requirements, I divide that into 3 phases. First phase is the problem scoping itself, like problem brainstorming. That's where the PM that's where I think the PM is the most lonely player in the ecosystem. I think that's where PM needs to invest time in doing market, customer, competitive research to first ensure that the problem that everybody is going to be working on is an important problem to solve for the company and for the customers. Like, is the opportunity relevant? If we solve this problem, will it move needle for the customer? That's where PM does all the research. I put together a problem framing doc. That's where I just write, okay, what's the problem? Who are the customers? and how it will move the needle for them and for the business. That's it. There are no requirements. We are not talking about features at this point at all. And that's the doc I then share with stakeholders and decision makers. Like, I need to test that with my leadership. I need to test that with my sales team or whoever relevant stakeholders are who know the voice of customers better, so that they're all on board before I waste time or of engineers.
Putting the feature doc, putting the tech needs, everything. Yeah.
Exactly. So once I, as a PM, I get that alignment in the problem framing doc from leadership and relevant stakeholder, that's where I pull in my product trio. I call it product trio because most of the times PMs feel that it's the product manager who owns the solution, builds the solution. That's not true. It's a very collaborative process. So why I say product trio, I think I've also borrowed this framework from a very famous book called Continuous Discovery Habits by Teresa Torres. So a product trio is a group of 3 people. It could be more depending upon how
the team is.
Yeah. Product, definitely PM. A design lead, depending if your team has designers. Sometimes PM is the designer. In some teams, in the small companies, PMs are the designers. Then your engineering lead. When I say engineering lead, not every entire SD cohort, 2, 3. Just one person who knows your system architecture well, who can lead the engineering discussions from feasibility perspective. So what I do is, in the second phase, when I'm writing the initial requirements, I will work with my team to identify who's the design lead, who is the engineering lead. 3 of us then will start brainstorming. Maybe we'll get together in a room, whiteboard. Okay, given this problem, what the solution could look like. We're not drawing any. We are still not drawing any designs. We are just wireframing stuff. We are just and we are discussing 3 primary risks as stated by Marty Kagan: usability risk, feasibility risk, and desirability risk. Desirability risk is ensuring that the solution, that the wireframe solution that we are thinking about is this is what customer wants. That's reduction of desirability risk, right? Because obviously you cannot make everything perfect. There will be some risk. So idea is to minimize those risks. Second is, okay, we know we want to build this product, but is it really easy to use? So that's where you want to minimize your usability risk. Then the third parameter that we are optimizing for is the feasibility risk. Because it has happened with me, and I'm sure it's a common product management problem. You design an elaborate solution only to realize later this is not even feasible with the tech stack that you have unless you invest significantly in overhauling your architecture. So that's where if you have your initial product trio in the brainstorming session, instead of PM just thinking on their own what the solution should look like, it minimizes your risks significantly. Then you come up outside, when you come out of that session, you have a very high level idea of what the solution looks like, what the initial wireframe looks like. Now you can start prototyping versions of it, very quick prototypes, start testing with your customers. And then you can start gradually involving larger team, because now the 3 product tribe has come up with the solution which is very much vetted, very well thought out. All the risks are taken care of. Now we can involve the larger team for a quick review of the requirements, where everybody is now understanding the problem statement. Everybody is now understanding a solution approach, and we are all aligned as a team, which includes your leadership, your sales team, your support team, and everybody else. That this team is actually going to build something which is going to be very valuable. Once we have an alignment, obviously there's going to be feedback. There are things that we might still miss. There are edge cases that we might still miss. But once we have an overall alignment of the product vision, that's where we go into the next step. Now we are doing deep dives. Now we are producing those high fidelity designs. Now we are producing those high fidelity prototypes. Now we are doing all this robust usability testing with customers. We're making them test the prototypes before engineers actually start building it. So I would say until this point, 80% of my job as a PM is done when it comes to building this product. Next step is, after requirements are finalized, working with engineering to ensure our tech design is robust, discussing any trade-offs if something comes up during the tech design phase, and then ensuring through the sprint plannings that we are incrementally building this product in milestones. If it's a huge product, I generally break it down into milestones. We want to release this in phases incrementally to customers rather than everything at once. and testing those, because that also enables us to QA things easily. Because sometimes what happens if a complex product just gets built in like 4 or 5 sprints, and now you are queuing everything at once, you will miss a lot of edge cases. It will be very, very overwhelming, and it's better to identify issues and bugs earlier than later. It saves time even for engineering. So being involved in that entire development process, I think it's optional for PMs, but I generally like to be involved at least in sprint reviews. Okay, how are things going on? We review everything together, and I also am very actively involved in the QA stage. Like QA planning is happening very well. Like we are putting together all those test cases. And lastly, I also know I don't want to tunnel vision myself because I have a POV of my product. So generally what I do is I send an option invite to my larger team that we are going to do a bug bash where we have identified this list of test cases. Like these are the various things we just want to test. Our product is almost ready. It's on gamma. It's on before it goes into production. We just optionally invite everyone just to participate in this bug bash. We will give you a list of test cases. Feel free to test anyone you want and give us comments. That ensures that more people have visibility than just.
That's actually lovely. That's actually a lovely process. I was also thinking like how many similarities there are. Like again, you talk from I would say a 10 to 100 perspective of product, right? Like when you are already at a stable company and like a scale company, and then you're building product. And similarly, how you're building products when you are at a 0 to 1 stage, and like you know how you said, like we get the group of 3 folks, we go to a room, we take a whiteboard on, and we start drawing. So like that's what we still do, and that's actually interesting, like insight that we never realized.
0 to 1 product building is a totally different ball game. That's one of the projects that I'm working without being able to share the details, but that's where I think a lot of brainstorming. There's a lot of ambiguities right now. Like we are, So how to
I would suggest like I think that's also where the game is, like that's where the bestest of PMs that are meant come from, who have aced that 0 to 1 game, because that's where you get to learn a lot of new things, right? Like I have seen a lot of PMs, specifically since I'm in Bangalore, and we go all to this PM meetups. I get to understand how these PMs think, and the first point is talking to users, really meeting these people and understanding validating their ideas in public. That's one thing that I've seen. But the other part of the equation is just to understand how, I would say, invested PMs are becoming, specifically in marketing of those products. Right?
Yes.
I think that's a great space to be. So I would like to know from you, Apoorva, like as you start building a product, or from your experience, when you start building a 0 to 1 product, what do you think is the role of marketing first? And then how do you think that role of marketing is aided by EdTech, with AI as well in this space?
Yeah. I think that's a very interesting question, and I'll just give you a quick information that the team, like we don't have a marketing person in the team. In our team, PMs are marketers too. We lead GTM of our product, and the reason for that is even though we are like part of Amazon, so the team that I work is a startup that Amazon acquired like 4 years ago. So they are still in that startup phase. They are still a very small team. And that's why I love, because I've also worked in large teams where standard corporate culture, this team is very, very different. And that's where I've been very fortunate. Obviously, things are changing as we speak. But the PMs have a lot of ownership. They're just 4 PMs across like 4 business groups. And as I said, like as a PM, I also lead. I'm the one responsible for marketing. I'm the one responsible for QAing. Like everything is on, there's a lot of risk on just few people. But that's where you also get to experience a lot of ownership. Coming back to your 0 to 1 product question, I think the challenge in 0 to 1 is there is no precedent, right? There is no existing roadmap. You are the one who are creating a roadmap from the beginning. You are the one who are identifying what's the overall opportunity looks like, why that opportunity matters to customers and for the business. You're doing a lot of customer research. You don't have your sales team to, have a customer pipeline. Okay, go and talk to XYZ in customers. You are just figuring out that on your own. Like just for my example, I'm trying to understand customer needs by cold reaching out to them on LinkedIn or elsewhere, by reading through. I love Reddit, so I would just go to some subreddits on my domain that I'm exploring.
Subreddits and just start talking to users. Yes.
and see what people are talking. Like sometimes I'll just copy and paste all that subreddit now into this AI tools. Like we have our internal chat GPT. Just I'll try and extract, okay, what are the key pain points? Rank those pain points by number of utterances in this overall thread. That's what I will do. Like internally, for example, I've built an AI agent that just the competitor research. It will build a feature parity matrix across all my competitors. So that's what AI has enabled very easily for all of us. Otherwise, it was a very manual task. You'll create an Excel, you'll go to each product tools, read their documentation. Okay, what is this person doing and how's that impact? Now AI has, enabled that so easily for us. Doing a lot of as I said, so competitor research. I love doing deep research when I'm initial stages of exploring an opportunity. I will just go and do a deep research on the problem space or industry space that I'm exploring. That will give me, okay, what are the various sources of data on the opportunity that I need to see? What are the pain points in general? Because that, if you have used deep research, it actually references so many customer VOCs across the internet. So I will use all of that so that will give me an initial insight into, okay, this is where opportunity lies. These are the 3 or 4 problem areas which are super, super, super valuable, where I need to go deeper into. That's where I will start doing all that manual instead of doing a general research. Pick particular problem areas, see which products are already out there, and then further narrow down my deep dives and research, talk to those specific customer segments, identify and narrow down my customer personas. And obviously I believe in writing as an exercise to brainstorm itself. Like I love unstructured writing. I'm exploring problem space. I'll just start writing on a Word doc. On a Word doc, just like, okay, this is the problem, this is what I've been reading, this is what I've been feeling. I will not think about structuring it in problem, opportunity, requirements, roadmap. I'll just dump everything that's in my head, and then I'll put that somewhere into this AI tool to distill and put that everything in a structure for me to review later. So I think that has been really, really helpful for me to identify 0 to 1 opportunities, and then convincing the leadership to invest in this.
In that, yeah.
That's the most important. So, for example, as I said, without disclosing numbers, so recently I worked on this 0 to 1 opportunity, proposed this 0 to 1 opportunity, and I put that in front of my leadership and finally got an approval to invest. So investment in this company is like you get headcount. That's all. Like that, I mean, that's the outcome, but it's like very hard these days because all the layoffs and going on, so budgets are very, very tight. But yeah, so what I've learned through that process is opportunity or valuation is very important. Then you have to have an eye on desired customer outcomes. Like what are the customer outcomes that you want to achieve with this opportunity, and everybody needs to align this customer outcome matches with what the business also wants at this point, or what the leadership or the vision this matches the goal of the leadership in the company that you're working in, right? Yeah, so that's the 0 to 1, and obviously then breaking that down into milestones. Like you cannot do everything. How do you actually incrementally want to test? How do you want to test the product market fit before you build everything? So that's another session. So once you have that opportunity, then I work with the rest of the team, the development team. Okay, let's start thinking, okay, what are the various things that we can do? What are the various things that we can build? Let's not think of any limitations. Let's just open our brains. Let's think of whatever we can. What's the ideal state looks like?
We'll first have a 13-star experience that looks like.
Exactly. Yeah. What's the 5-star experience looks like for the customer? Let's forget our limitations for a bit. Let's forget that we don't have money, we don't have engineers, we don't have designers. Let's forget that. Let's build that ideal state. Once we have that ideal state in front of us, now we can start breaking it down into milestones. What is the first minimal customer value that we can deliver out of this ideal state? Like, if the customer value for we can take an example also, but that's the MVP concept. Like, what's the minimal value that we can deliver from thinking from this state to today? Like, if we just launch the state where customer just able to log in and provide certain of their details, just host their content, just that matter, and the other things could be added later, so
I think I get your point, because so like I said, right, the 13-star experience, it was a design thinking experiment, I think, that by Airbnb's founder, where the 5-star experience is, yes, it works, great, good job. Then the 6-star is like, it works and it does, like, it goes that one step beyond. The 7-star experience is like, it works and I give you a gift hamper just for using the product. Then you start moving, you keep on moving, then you till you reach a certain point where it's just nonsense. It's spouting nonsense, right? And then you see, okay, that is the 13-star experience. That is what the customer would like, pay with his liver and his kidney. Now what do you want to build? And then when you come back to it, maybe like, some of it seems more reasonable than the others. And I think that's really important for a 0 to 1 journey, to have that. I would say that you just wow the customers, right, from the day one. So not having a lot of features, but just having that one feature that works perfectly. I think RB2B did this really well last time. Where just the website visitor identification, done, finished. We just do one thing. We have a minimal looking website, but it just works. So no, I definitely get the Apoorva. I just have to get us back to the question of the podcast. Is 150. I think this is supposed to be a 30-minute session. We've already went on time, and we haven't had the chance to actually discuss a lot of interesting things that I wanted to discuss, especially with regards to EdTech, especially with regards to AI in EdTech. But I think keeping that session for later, right? Because this is a nice, interesting conversation that we're having, right? Okay. I want to talk more. I would want to talk more about. Yes, so this is what, like, it is for product managers now in this day and age. My first questions of the last 3 is going to be, how has AI changed your day-to-day life? And how do you think it's keep on changing in the next 5 years? So that people who are planning on getting in this field or planning on improving this field can, do better.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. I think there are a few things like one of the first primary things that AI has really helped me is ideation and prototyping, as I mentioned. I think, as I said, like if you're looking for a 0 to 1 problem, or if you really want to, a problem space that you want to work with, but you want to go granular. Okay, what are the particular friction pain points? So AI helps me ideate in the sense, like, for example, as I said, deep research is something that I use a lot. It's available on ChatGPT and so many other tools. Deep research basically just ensure you're like, what is the industry that you're talking about? What are the customer segments that you're talking about? And if you're focused on one particular part of the industry segment, okay, now within ad tech, I'm only concerned right now in campaign management, or maybe it can be as simple. You can go narrow. Geo-targeting, geo-targeting in copy ads. What's going on in the industry? Like, what are the customer pain points? What are problems which are solved? What are problems which are not solved? What are the various edge cases? I will put all of that in just a deep research prompt, and it will produce a very detailed analysis. Okay, what's happening in the industry, what are your competitors doing? So it will give you an idea just to get started. So when you are blank, you're on blank stage, it will give you an idea to get started. You will have a very good idea of what's happening everywhere and what's not happening everywhere. You will get an idea of where are the information gaps, like what are the areas that you need to dive deeper, where you want to talk to customers, because some pain points are obvious. So if you are having customer call, you want to focus more on the ambiguous areas. So that's where I use it on my day-to-day in ideation sense. Sometimes I also use it for prototyping. Like I will go to Lovable, or I've not experimented with Figma AI. I have to do that, but I'll go to Lovable. I'll just write a generic prompt, and AI will spit out
a very prototype. One of the prototype,
very basic. Yeah. But it really helps me, have a good conversation with my development and design team. Hey, this is what I'm thinking. What I've realized is that sometimes visual tools are very good communication form factors. You can write as much as you want, but if you're able to communicate
that visually, like a simple dashboard, and it's like way better than those napkin drawings that we used to do earlier.
Exactly. So I use it a lot for prototyping. I use AI to refine my requirements. As I said, now my writing is less cumbersome because now I think about dumping ideas or thoughts in your brain in one way, in one place, and let AI take care of structuring that into a particular format, whether it's a PRD, whether it's a PRFAQ, which is a strategy doc, or whatever format of doc that you're working with. You can give format to the AI, and you can also give your brain dump and let the AI do refining for you. I sometimes will do it to refine my communications with internal stakeholders, whether it's emails or the Slack messages or whatnot. I'll do that to refine my communication. That actually saves me a lot of time to focus on vision, the working on vision strategy and stakeholder alignment, and let AI handle the repetitive day-to-day tasks. Sometimes I will refine my user stories, like acceptance. Like I've been very much surprised that AI, even though we have user stories in our head, acceptance criteria is an overlooked part of a PRD. People do not focus there, but that's very, very important, because it's only later when you don't want customers to find that bug and tell you. Obviously, you cannot do everything, but if you have a robust acceptance criteria, so I love brainstorming with internal tools on acceptance criteria on my user stories. I love that. It opens the edge cases to me. So that's. I'm just thinking but these are my day-to-day examples of where I use AI. There is my wish list as well, but
wish list. Okay.
Yeah. So my wish list would be, I'm sure it's happening somewhere. Like at some point, I would want to see, like, once my feature has a PM in the big company, and I'm sure in the small companies as well, you have to show, okay, whatever you have built, what's the outcome? Like, how is it delivering to the outcome you initially promised? Right now, what happens is that when that time comes, you will start querying internal data, work with internal teams. Okay, tell me what customer is saying, how people are using. What if your features usage is tied to the customer outcome already? There's automatically AI or some internal tool is tracking your feature usage and it's automatically updating the feature outcome somewhere. Right? It is producing QBRs and WBRs for you, which you can use for your own reference or also for internal communication. That saves a lot of time, because I think at that point, it's a data collection exercise. You're collecting data from so many resources and putting together a story, which I think could be... it's not it's not something which is it's a very 0 to 1 kind of situation. Like, it's not that there's not a lot of ambiguity there. It's a repetitive task, and AI could automate that for you. I think barrier to entry to creating products is also like reducing day to day. I'm sure the time will come when PMs are product builders, at least of the initial MVP stage, and only when it crosses the MVP.
Like this day now, like where PMs are, they don't need to have a tech co-founder anymore, right? They are just like, okay, yes, we build an MVP, we'll go to few folks, we'll do the user testing ourselves, we see if they want this or not, and then we'll see if we need a tech guy. So yeah, it's definitely there now. Quite amazing how things have changed in the last 2 years.
Yeah, definitely. And I think way it's happening, like it's like quite fascinating how things are changing. I think GTM is a...
Get it now.
Right. Yeah.
So what is your I would say, piece of advice for organizations who are trying to navigate these structures as we move forward?
Yeah, I think what I feel is there's a lot of hesitation in big organizations at this point in adopting internal AI tools. I think data and privacy is one of the concerns, and obviously is like there's a learning curve involved. Like, you need to invest time. You need to enable that learning curve for your employees. I'd say organizations which will not use AI will soon be, will be behind from the organizations or the smaller companies which are using AI. Because I'm seeing startups developing prototypes in 2 days, where big companies are still taking months. So I say, like, ensure, if as a big organization, ensure that all your employees have access to all these AI tools. There's less restriction on using them. Work with the companies, ensure that your employees have all the training necessary. Prompt engineering, everybody should be a prompt engineer at this point. If you're not, then you're already behind, and you should continue. I think that's a skill in itself. Like, good prompt will give you the results that you want. Otherwise, it's garbage in, garbage out. Yeah, I think that's my advice. I think look at your workflows day to day. What are the repetitive tasks? See what can be automated. And I mean, if like you don't need to spend time, your requirements are written in a certain way. You are writing vision and requirements. You don't need to spend time in beautifying your docs and structuring them in a certain manner. You should focus on strategy and ambiguity and let AI do the repetitive work for you. Like, let it do the documenting, let it put together frameworks. Structured frameworks are easiest to automate. You know what they are. So I think that's my general advice.
Interesting. Wow. But this has been a lovely session. I did not realize. I just looked at the clock like 5 minutes ago. It's been an hour since.
No, it's very interesting. You're a great host.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Apoorva. And yeah, definitely we are doing one more session just to actually talk about the topic next time. But I love this whole, I would say, a PM masterclass, right? Like this has been a very nice masterclass for anyone who wants to become a PM, anyone who is a PM in the age of AI, right? Because now, again, there are tools, there are resources, there are leaner teams, there are faster execution times, but what actually is happening in the space, a lot less people really talk about it. So
yeah, exactly. Just before you go, I just wanted to leave you with one thought. I was, as I said, I was like, since I serve on awards advisory committee of product that count, I was recently reviewing applications of product managers. Like we are judging the best PMs in the space. So, and there are two things which are on top of mind of every PM application that I saw. Like every PM is concerned about how to stay up to date with new AI developers. The innovation is happening so fast, it's like so difficult to keep up to speed. And everybody is concerned about how they should be using AI to influence their roadmap, like how AI can be part of their roadmap. I mean, those are like great concerns to have. Definitely, you should be up to speed about what's happening in AI. Maybe you follow a newsletter, pick one, and you definitely should spend some free time in experimenting with AI tools. Like I personally do a lot of vibe coding, even though I'm bad at that. But I think that will give an insight of what AI can do and cannot do for you. As a PM, I would say as long as you keep your mind focused on solving problems that matter, like solving or identifying problems that matter to your customers and for the business, I think AI just means to an end. It's not the end. So fret less about the tools themselves, but focus more on understanding and solving the right problem. That's the most important. That will be evergreen,
Yeah. I think that's the main goal, right? Like people, and I think there's always been that fear that, hey, this is happening now, how will it change the entire world? But when I think about it, all the way back from 1970s till 2025, the problem statement has not changed.
Exactly.
Look at the customer, look at what they want, build that same thing, ask them 5 times, scale.
Yeah.
Right? It's the same thing, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. AI will make you let AI make you superhuman.
Yeah.
Let it augment you. Let it not replace you.
Yeah, I've had a lovely conversation. Thanks to you.
Same.
And we'll do one more of this here. I mean, I really have a lot of things to learn from you when it comes to GTM, when it comes to how you are taking care of product side things, how you have actually done it in the past. And I hope a lot of other product guys who listen to this can also do the same. Maybe they can share us more questions about what they would like to hear from you next, and we can take it forward then.
Yeah, product is my passion. I love to share and love to learn. So open to collaborating over here. Great chatting with you.
Yes, lovely chatting with you, man.
Same here. See you.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye-bye.